On this Andy's Auto Sport Manufacturer Spotlight, we've got Gary here from Superwinch. Gary, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, we really appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit about Superwinch. Now, you guys have been in business for a long time. Let's talk about the history and where you guys kind of started.
Okay. Superwinch has been around for over 40 years, and it is based out of Connecticut. Also, we have factories in England as well, in Tavistock. We manufacture winches in Connecticut. We manufacture hydraulic winches as well in our UK facility in England, worm gear. And we manufacture winches from 1,000 to 100,000 pounds. So we do a wide range of different types of applications.
Absolutely. So, I had my very first Jeep I think I bought in 1985 or 86, actually had a Superwinch on it. I don't remember which one it was, but I know that I absolutely used it. And so you guys have been around a long time. If you guys do winches that work up to 100,000 pounds, obviously my little 3,000-pound Jeep stuck in the mud is nothing for you guys.
Absolutely. But it's like having the right winch makes a big difference, and having a winch versus not having a winch can make a big difference in being able to go home or camping out.
You know what? My second Jeep, I actually did have to camp out one time. We got stuck in a creek bed and we could not get out, and we literally had to wade across because I didn't have a winch. That was the last time I went out four-wheeling without a winch. So you're absolutely right. Not having one is you certainly can't buy one when you're in the field.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of times people don't. It's like, well, I could get this winch or I couldn't get this winch. It's like, but once you're out there, you're dependent on that machine to get you home.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you can't. It's not like you're not gonna do mail order. You're not gonna call Andy's Auto Sport from the middle of a creek bed, say, hey, can you have this drop shipped to me tomorrow? Probably gonna be a little late at that point.
Well, maybe next year when you get that service up.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll work on a drop service deal where we can drop service to you in the field while you're broken down. That's perfect. So let's talk about a little bit about the applications. Now, you said everywhere from 1,000 pounds all the way up to 100,000 pounds. How would you choose? Let's talk first about how you would choose the proper winch for your vehicle. We have our F250 here in the background. Now, I know I had this on the scales. It weighs 8,500 pounds. How would I choose the proper winch for our F250?
Well, a lot of times people start, you talk about the weight of a vehicle, but most of the time when you're pulling your vehicle out, it's rolling. So it's rolling weight. And rolling weight actually will take a lot less than you're required to pull the vehicle out. Typically on a F250, the winch that would be used is around 11,000 to 12,000 pounds typically. Sure. So that if you had something in the vehicle and you're fully loaded, you can pull it out. But a winch is designed to pull and drag the weight, not rolling weight.
Right.
So it's much easier for the winch to be able to pull you out when it's rolling.
Because it's on wheels, right. It makes it a whole lot different. Now, but another thing that people don't understand is if you bury that up to the axles, two things. Number one, it's not rolling anymore. Right. You're dragging the mud, and then whatever you have in there. So you have a little bit of a drag there as well. So it kind of all depends on how you get yourself stuck as well.
Exactly. So if you're going to find yourself, pulling your vehicle where it's like completely down into the mud and you're at a slight incline, it's going to be a lot harder on the winch. And another application that can be done is using a pulley block.
Sure.
And where you can double up the cable back to your vehicle, and that allows the winch to pull at twice the rated strength at half the speed. Right.
Every time you run a snatch block, it doubles the capability of the winch, but it cuts the speed in half. So it's going to take a lot longer to get out, but you use that snatch block on there, or pulley block on there, and it actually makes your 11,000 pound winch be able to pull 22,000 pounds.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and you can do, and that, there we go into, now you got to make sure you have enough cable and things like that. That's also a neat deal. You guys, your cable spools hold a ton of cable.
Yeah, and one of the things though is that we try to make, while we can put a lot of cable on it, we do recommend that you don't put a lot of cable on it, because the winch is rated off of the first strand. Right. And so every strand you put on there, it's going to be another like 15-20% of efficiency loss. Right. So if you're dealing with a 10,000 pound winch and you're on the second strand, you're already around 8,000 pounds.
Right.
And and then the third strand you're down almost to 6,000. So
it's just like a gear ratio on a bicycle or anything else. The further you get out from the spool, the higher the gear ratio is going to be, or the higher numeric number is, or lower numeric number, so it's going to be harder on the winch.
Much harder on the winch. So it's, even though you may not be pulling that type of weight, it does make it easier on your motor and everything else.
Sure.
So for the longevity of the winch as well.
Okay. Now let's talk about for a second about cable and synthetic rope. Now you guys offer both on some of your winches. You have an option for the synthetic rope or the cable. Let's talk about the differences there.
One of the things that is kind of misunderstood is that synthetic rope is not nylon rope. It's not going to, if you leave it out in the sun, it's not going to fray and turn to dust.
Right, right.
Came from the marine market, so it's been exposed to UV and salt water and things like that.
Sure.
For many, many years. So the rope the strength is actually stronger. The tensile strength of the same diameter synthetic rope is actually stronger than cable.
Right.
And cable frays. And so once the cable frays so much, you need to throw that away. Also, cable kinks.
Yes.
So that's also, once it kinks, you need to throw away your cable
Sure.
and replace it. So, just as any, with cable or synthetic ropes, you should always inspect it before you go out, make sure that it works. And also, one of the things that people do not realize about synthetic rope is that it wants to put its, it wants to go in between the strands. It puts a lot more compression on it.
Yes, it does.
And it will actually crush or, crack the drum.
The drum, exactly right. Now, that's another thing that people don't understand. Drum maintenance and things like that, especially with the synthetic rope, is real critical, because it actually can crush that. So do you guys use a different drum, or is that something that they should actually inspect when they come in? Or every time you go out, if you're going to go out on a major pull or a major off-road event, you should, I always used to take every ounce of cable out and inspect the cable all the way down, and then roll it back in there to make sure that everything is okay. That's a good time to inspect the drum as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, with the drum needs to be steel reinforced to handle synthetic rope.
Sure.
If you're not sure if your drum is going to be able to handle it, always contact the manufacturer and make sure that it's going to be safe for you to put synthetic rope on. They're going to be able to let you know.
Yeah, it's not something that you shouldn't just unspool your cable and put synthetic rope on. You need to know what that drum is made out of and how it's constructed to make sure that it's capable of using the synthetic rope.
So for Superwinch, with our Talon series for the truck winches, we use steel reinforced drums for both our cable and synthetic rope versions, so those are interchangeable. And for our ATV, we have our Terra series ATV winch. Both those have steel reinforced drums, so the cable or synthetic. So again, you could switch those out. Okay,
so either one of those two brands, either one of those two lines, you can use the synthetic or the cable.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about this. We have this really neat little device here, this neat little deal called Winch in a Bag. Let's talk a little bit about this. This looks like it would be great if you have, if you're a farmer, or if you have an ATV or something that you piddle around in the garage, or you have a tractor. This looks like a great little unit. How does this work?
This is pretty neat. This actually works with our alligator clips. You can hook it up to a battery. It does not need to be mounted permanently anywhere. It's already mounted onto the plate.
Okay.
And so basically what you do is you have the D-shackle that comes with it, and you get the straps as well. So you just use a strap to anchor it to either a tree or a rock or whatever you have available to you. And basically it hangs free, and then what you do is you hook up the handheld control. It has two quick connects on it, a gray and a yellow.
Okay.
The gray goes to the power source,
right,
and the yellow goes to the winch. And then you just operate the winch.
Look, it's color-coded.
It's color-coded. Can't be easier. And basically, you just, once you pull and do whatever you need to do with the winch, you're done. You unhook it. You put it all back in this bag. It weighs about 20 pounds or so.
Toss it back under the seat or in the garage, and it's ready to go.
It's really useful. It can be used for a car that happened to just maybe slide off the road or something and spinning a wheel.
Sure.
With ATVs, if something's blocking your path, you can use it to move a log or a tree out of the way. Yeah, or it's just a little more than you can help trying to get it out. This will put that just enough dynamic tension on there where you can actually roll it out if you have to. This is a great option. What is this capable of? Is this 1,000 pounds, or what is this? This is a 2,000-pound winch.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it'll be able to do most small jobs that you may encounter around the house or off-road. Or
Sure. And if you get a little crazy, you can always use a snatch block.
Exactly.
Very good. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about maintenance of a winch. We talked a little bit about the drum and inspecting the cable. What kind of maintenance is involved in servicing your winch, and how often should that be done?
I think most of the maintenance that you're going to be dealing with is going to be, with your cable, as we talked about, inspecting it, making sure it operates before you go out.
Sure.
You don't want to be out there and have a situation.
Right.
But they're actually not really too difficult to take care of.
Are there grease zerks? Are there things do you need to take it apart? I know my old winch. Now, of course, I used to get pretty serious underwater and things like that, so I used to pull some things apart and grease up the gearbox. Are those pretty much sealed now, where you don't have to worry about that anymore?
They're pretty much all relatively sealed for dust, water, mud, things like that.
Okay.
So there really shouldn't. In the past with older winches, you did have that problem where if they got wet, the motor could be exposed to water.
Yep.
Or mud or other contaminants, and then it wasn't that really did anything to the winch per se, other than corrosion,
right.
And stuff.
Right.
But now they're generally all of them are fully sealed, and so you don't really have to be as concerned about water and things like that. And solenoids generally are submersible as well, which is
sure. Makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Now, we at Andy's are proud to carry the Superwinch brand on our website, and we'd like to give absolutely the best product that we possibly can. What advice would you give somebody on the Superwinch? Tell us what makes Superwinch different than other brands.
Well, we're really an engineering-based company, and so we put our engineering and techniques. We're not going to tell you something it can do something it can't just for a marketing.
Sure.
Blurb or anything like that. So we work really hard at making sure that the winch is always going to perform to at the bare minimum what it's rated at. So
sure.
Our ratings generally will be the winch will actually go further than what it's rated at.
Right.
Some winches will completely stall right at whatever it says. 2,000
right.
pounds, it stalls.
It's done.
Where
right.
ours is going to go over. We always try to put in those safety factors because when you're looking at your what you're pulling, you don't have a scale there most of the time to say, oh, that's
right.
1,200 pounds.
That's right.
So we try to put in, work those things in. All our engineers are, go out in the field, go off road. We bring in people to go do studies and ask questions. What do you like about the product?
Sure.
What you don't like, and those things really, pan into the product. One of the winches we have, the Talon. There was winches where it actually has a light source so that you can see where to plug the winch,
right.
plug
right.
the remote into.
Sure.
In the past, people had lights on the remote, but it had to be plugged in before the light would
work.
And they were like, "This is useless."
Right.
So
right.
These are the things that we try and incorporate and make sure that the winch is going to do and perform the way that the consumer wants it.
Well, and that's a great thing about having engineers that actually have four-wheel drives and go out in the field and test your product. That makes all the difference in the world. When you actually use the product that you sell, you find all those little things that you're missing, like the light that's now on the remote that you can't see until it's plugged in. Well, you can't find the plug-in in the middle of the night when you're stuck in the mud if it's not plugged in. It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't do any good.
Right.
So, and of course, it takes, rather than an engineer that doesn't go out and play, it takes somebody that plays to understand those things.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So, we have, the basis to make sure that the product's going to operate exactly the
sure.
way you want it to perform.
Sure. Well, very good. So, in your dealings with Andy's, we're real excited to have you on board once again. Do you feel like it's a pretty good fit for you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that what Andy's, represents will allow, a good relationship. We both want to have quality products and make sure that the consumer is very happy with the end results.
Absolutely. And you guys have been in business a long time. Again, I've had these on several of my vehicles. Absolutely love them. Gary, thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate you bringing the product line and talking to us about Superwinch.
Thank you.
Guys, if you have any questions about Superwinch or any of our other products, feel free to call one of our knowledgeable sales staff at 1-800-419-1152 or email us at info@andysautosport.com. And once you get your Superwinch installed, send us a picture of that ride to customer.rides@andysautosport.com. We hope you've learned something today, and we'll see you on another Andy's Autosport Manufacturer Spotlight.